The name Khan evokes a certain charisma in Bollywood, but it all began with my guests, the first Khan, Dan. Theirs is a story of guts and glamour, of fame and family and love. The Khans, Sanjay, Zarine and Zayed.
Just let your thoughts and dreams unfold. You and I, let's talk of love, to tales untold. Speak to me so I can see your soul.
Abbas, Zarine, it's so wonderful to have you here because we've known each other like forever.
Eons.
I simply cannot understand how time has flown.
I know. When I was doing my first film, he was the fourth assistant director. This gaunt-looking guy. Do you remember? Gaunt, lanky,
Very gaunt, very lanky,
Hungry.
smoking, chain smoking,
broke.
playing cards, broke.
Totally. And lots of dreams to fulfill.
And I remember, he used to show me photographs of his Parsi girlfriend, the Zarine.
I remember. And I even took your suggestion, the color of the sari I should buy from my first salary.
After the film finished, we were in Bangalore, and he said, I've got my paycheck now, and I want to buy a present for my girlfriend. Will you help me buy a sari? We bought a blue.
Yes, a blue. How
exactly.
you remember? Oh, that's fabulous.
But there's so much you have to fill in. When you met, how old were you?
Me? I was only 14.
I was 5 years older than her. It was a wonderful meeting. It was one Saturday. I said, let me take a walk on the beach. At least did I know that I'll be meeting a girl whom I would propose the same day, 1 hour after the meeting.
How could that be?
It was a very romantic meeting. First of all, during those days, I used to be in school and I used to read all these romance novels.
Milton Booms.
These picture book romances, and the hero always looked like him. Somehow with the dark hair.
George Chakiris.
And one day I was going for a walk on the beach and he comes along. He doesn't come along. I see him right in front of me. And I was so petrified and I felt very shy. I just wanted to turn back. And before I could do that, he bends down and takes a stick on the sand and writes something. So my friend was with me. She said, let's go and see what he's written. So we rushed there before a wave could come and wipe it away. And we see the word hi.
Oh, that's...
I said, let me just write it down in the sand. Let me see the reaction.
And what was the reaction?
The reaction was that I told my friend, I said, let's turn back and go back home. I'm feeling too nervous. And so she wrote a hi back.
He reads the hi.
He read the hi and somehow came quietly behind. And I can never forget that lovely bass voice of his when he said, hi, may I join you? And I had butterflies in my stomach.
Oh, wow.
And the hi encouraged me. And we were talking and walking ahead. I stopped and I looked at her. I said, will you marry me? I did. I did. It is a fact. And I still, till today, I can't imagine why I said that, but I never regretted it.
But how can you know at the age of 14 and 19 that this is the partner you want for life?
This is a very strange chemistry when two people meet. It happens. When I met Zarine, I knew I found the girl I wanted.
How?
I felt comfortable. I enjoyed looking at her face, those lovely eyes, and she always had perspiration on her upper lip. And she had those juicy lips.
Oh my God.
Very, very scintillating
very
smile.
romantic.
And she had a terrific figure. And she was pink. She used to eat like a boy. And my mother used to make her eat. She used to love the food in our house.
Healthy eating.
Yeah. And she would be like a shadow with me, Yeah. I felt most comfortable with her.
We were total opposites. He was the, white shirt, white pant, Kolhapuri chappals, and a book of Tolstoy in his hand, very serious and very charismatic. And I was the modern Zoroastrian girl, skirts and rock and roll shoes.
And she'll force me to dance these rock and roll or what is that dance?
Jiving.
Jiving.
Yeah.
I used to hate jiving, leave alone ballroom dancing. And I just sit down there and suffer because she was dancing with boy after boy after boy
Yes.
right in front of me.
Because he's jealous.
Yes,
and
terribly, my
possessive.
God.
I mean, she was a model as well.
My
How did you take that?
My jealousy was sublime. You know, I would never my ego would not allow me to show me.
Oh,
I'm
yeah?
jealous,
If I was 5 minutes late from a modeling assignment, oh my God, that would be the end, you know.
But even later, Abbas, I remember if a guy so much as looked at her from a distance, from the other end of the room, what did you do?
I would get angry.
You
and
would go all the way up to him
Why
and
you
you would say, "Are you looking for trouble?"
I was very possessive. I'm still possessive about
Still.
her. Yes, she has given me a lot in life.
She was a model at that time. What were you doing?
I was a dreamer, and I wanted to become the biggest movie director in history.
Yeah, it's a director you
Yeah,
were
yeah.
aspiring
Yeah.
for.
And Satyan Bose used to be my neighbor, and he used to ask me to push his car every day. 3 times. And the 4th time when he came, I said, "Dada, you want to push?" He said, "No, I want to cast you."
Oh, cool.
I said, "Look, I don't look like a star."
He was very slim then.
He said, "Come on, don't be stupid. You'll make a big star." I said, "Okay." He casted me in Dosti.
ये वक्त हिम्मत हारने का नहीं है मीना।
And then after Dosti was a hit, super hit,
Your first film was a super smash hit.
super smash hit, and within a month I signed 100 films.
100 films.
Between me and Feroz, every evening I used to go to his house for a drink. He says, "How many films did you sign today?" I'll say 5, 4, 3,
Really?
2.
How
It just turned overnight.
You were called at that time the star with the Midas touch because everything he touched turned to
Silver
gold
jubilees.
or silver jubilees.
Yeah.
Golden.
People in today's generation probably don't know that, but that's how it was.
It
He
is,
was a
it was.
superstar.
Yeah, it was like a dream come true, you know. But
And-
always, even right in the beginning, when we used to go, because our dates were, you know, like he never had any money on him to take me out to very big restaurants and all the rest. But still, he had that, you know, will, and he knew he would get there. So when we would go on the beach, he would look at me and tell me, "Which is the house you like here?" So I would say, "Okay, this one." He said, "This one, I'll buy you one better than that." With so much of confidence, and he really did. And I feel very proud today, you know.
So you got married once you become a success. You got married at the age of you were
Yeah,
about
I was 20, yes.
just 25.
Yeah.
When the spotlight turned on Abbas, was it easy for you to find your own identity?
After the 3 children were born, I decided that I had to do something on my own. Because when we built our new house, it was appreciated so much by everybody around. So I got onto the idea of why not get into interiors.
And you became very successful.
I was.
Very,
and I
very
am,
successful
yes.
still.
In fact, I encouraged her. You see, though
He
I
did.
was in the spotlight, my heart was in my home. I used to work hard, 2 shifts, sometimes 3 shifts, but I used to rush home to see my kids and my wife.
He's a
to
family
be with
man,
them.
basically.
Yeah. But Abbas, you know, your world was always much bigger than a movie actor's world, wasn't it?
Yes, I have always been a dreamer.
You lived big, you dreamt big, you mingled with presidents and politicians and political leaders, with royalty.
His lifestyle, his way of everything about him. He likes to have people around him. Everything is very grand, you know. I think my husband in his previous life must have definitely been a Maharaja. But he loves all the good things in life, but he's also a very generous man. That's what I love about him. His good luck is always shared with so many people.
You also owned a prize racehorse,
Yes.
Prince Khartoum.
He did.
It won the Triple Crown.
First horse which he bought.
Zarine, didn't you have a dream once about...
Yes, how did you remember that? You know, those days I could
It
literally,
was-
I used to dream, and I dreamt that number 5 horse is winning, and the announcement says Prince Khartoum, winner of the Indian Derby. And I told this to him, and he says, "Oh, don't think like this, because the numbers are 14 horses. You never know which horse gets which number." And the day prior, his cousin rings us up from the race course and says, "Guess what? Prince Khartoum has got number 5. And you
was,
won't believe, after that I was so excited that I had my clothes and color of the clothes also.
You
to
dreamt that you were wearing green.
how you remember this, huh? Turquoise blue. And exactly like my dream, our horse won.
And you led it in.
And we
both of
led
you.
it.
And now you also own a luxury spa and hotel. It's been a glamorous life. Could you both have done it without each other?
No.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think I would have been the man I am if she was not the woman she is.
And I wouldn't have had all this glory and he gives me that grandeur.
But then came the trials,
Yeah.
the crisis that threatened your marriage and his existence. Zarine, when did you realize that your marriage was under threat? For a time.
I did
It
realize
was never under a
sometime,
threat.
but
I
I
don't
don't
think it was under a threat.
See, there was a time, of course, my marriage seemed to be in threat, especially to a lot of other people, but not to me.
And there was no time my marriage was ever under threat. Because I loved my wife and my children very deeply. And if I had gone somewhere and if I was taken for granted by someone, well, that is another story. Because there was no such thing from my side. I make myself very clear. I never take advantage of anyone in life. Sivi, you must appreciate that. There was no betrayal of trust.
But you did get temporarily involved with your leading lady, as happens to a lot of actors.
Well,
I guess so.
I would say that it could have happened. It could have happened.
This was, you were carrying Zayed at that
Yes.
time, I remember.
I never promised anyone which I could not fulfill.
Okay.
I knew my husband. Maybe he did falter a little bit. But again, being an actor's wife, you've got to have that much of patience and at the same time the strength and the conviction to know that he's going to come back to you.
So you never felt this may be the end?
No, never.
I never felt
Never.
for one moment ever. And honest to God.
Did the children know about it?
The children were too young at that time, so it was fortunate. You see, every life has its ups and downs.
There was no betrayal of trust.
But you know, I know what you're going through, because it's always embarrassing to talk about something that was so far in the past. But it was life. You're glamorous. Women fall for you. It's part of being an actor's life.
I assure you that was not the first glamorous woman that fell for him. There were lots of women who used to fall for him, but he was always mine. Let's put it that way.
But normally, I'm not a man to be in a situation. Everybody gets in a situation like that. Nobody is perfect, as I said. I'm a human being, I'm not God.
That's right.
The basic bond between the wife and the husband was never under a threat.
Maybe it brought us closer.
See.
I always see the positive side of it.
Abbas, you have literally, physically been to hell and back when that fire took place on the sets of Tipu Sultan.
Yeah. That was the biggest challenge of my life. I was in debts. I had owed money to people. And this happened. Tipu Sultan was my big gamble. And I said, anything happens to me, we all sink. 13 months I was in the hospital. The first 2 months I was in coma. The second, third, fourth and the fifth month I was sleeping on a plastic sheet with pus and blood in it. I had septicemia.
And were you conscious through it?
In and out.
In and out.
In and out.
I was, you see.
The pain must have been...
You see, it was excruciating pain. But
Because a little burn and it kills
You
you.
know.
You went through 65% burns,
And I had 72 surgeries.
but your face was not burned.
My
was it?
face is,
face
of
got
course.
an automatic singe, which has given me a better look, with the grace of the Almighty God, except a little patch on my left side. And my hands are badly burned, and my back and my feet.
But especially for an actor,
Yes.
it's traumatic.
I still remember the time when this happened. I was in hospital when she came in. She tells me, ask her how I looked.
It was terrifying. The doctors had only given him about 10% chance of survival. And when I walked in, I still remember, I couldn't believe that this was my handsome husband because he resembled a black. He had curly hair, all his hair was singed.
Bloated body.
And you won't believe the shock I got, but even though I got the shock, we started play acting towards to each other because the moment he saw me coming, he knew, he put his hands up and he says, darling, don't worry, I'll be fine in 1 week's time. I'm going to start shooting in a week. And I pretended that he's fine. I said, yes, the doctors have said you'll be fine.
He hadn't seen himself.
No, he did see the
hadn't.
mirror, yes.
My wife's eyes
Were the mirror.
mirrors, and she looked at me with such strength
That you
and with a
felt I'm
smile,
fine.
and she gave me strength through her eyes, and she said I gave strength through my voice. It was strong.
So I want to ask you, Abbas, when the doctors have given only a 10% chance of survival,
Yeah.
what gives you the fight, the will to live?
I sent a positive message to my mind. Says, God, my time has not come, I'm not going. I used to look at my children, I used to look at my wife. I said, my responsibility. If I go, they'll all sink. And then I fought it out till the last.
You need something to live for.
After I came back to shoot, when I was going to shoot, the doctor said to me, said, Mr. Khan, you'll never work in your life again. I said, doctor, you're kidding. I'm going to work. And just 2 weeks after my surgery, I was to lead a cavalry charge on this white charger with 200 screaming guys with swords. And she was sitting with me. I was wearing a white tunic. The double was ready. And a thought came into my mind. I said, I must ride that horse to prove that I'm alive again. And she said, why do you have to do it? He said, I have to. And she looked at me and says, okay. After I rode that horse, I got well.
Has it changed your attitude to life?
It has, it has.
How?
I have become more understanding, more compassionate, more helpful, and I don't take life for granted because it's gone. I've gone on the other side.
Yeah.
There's a void there. So what we have to live is today. A phone call comes to my house for some help, some person to get a job somewhere. I'll go out of the way.
Yes.
You both have weathered everything together. You've come a long way from those teenagers on the beach, haven't you?
True. The time has stood still for us.
But at the same time, let me tell you, we still feel very young.
The only regret is we've reached so quickly here. I feel like going back and playing the whole scene again.
At least you have shared histories.
Yes,
You both
yes.
have shared it
definitely,
together. That's
definitely.
beautiful. Now, should we meet your
I'd
son
be
and
delighted.
heir?
Most certainly.
Zayed, it's just wonderful to have you here with your parents.
Thank you so much for having me.
Abbas, do you see yourself in Zayed?
Very much my mirror image from the head to the toes, but his eyes are his mother's eyes.
I think I'm a merry mix of both. There was a lot of more time spent with my mother, and of course, I mean,
Great friends, you know.
of,
He's
friends,
it's-
always.
always. I mean,
I do share a lot of secrets.
yeah,
And
from the beginning.
Were you a mama's boy?
proudly so, yeah.
You were a mama's boy.
Yeah, for sure.
I loved him to death, which I still do. I have to admit that.
The two leading men in your life, who was easier to handle?
Definitely Zayed.
Abbas?
I'm surprised. But
With Zayed, he was the younger one. I had to just tell him, do this and do that. And he would eventually, even if he didn't do it, I was not worried that he would listen to me. But my husband never listens to me always.
No.
No.
well, I almost listen to her all the time.
Yeah.
He
Listen
may
to me
listen, but
always.
he may not do exactly what you want him to do.
Yes, exactly. But that's what I love about him because, you know, a woman, she always likes to boss over the husband. But the moment she bosses over him, she loses interest. So all my life, why do you think I've always been interested in my husband? Because he's kept me on my toes.
But listen, were you, I mean, after these three girls that were like little dolls, were you ready for this firecracker that arrived?
He was an absolute firecracker from the day he was born, I think.
What did you do?
Oh my God, everything from dropping ink on her Persian carpets to breaking her very expensive things that she had accumulated over her journeys.
She has such a beautiful house.
Trust me, I was the one who redecorated it.
He used to play table tennis on my dining table and broke all my crystalware.
And he wanted to, dive out with a Superman costume once. You
You're
know,
mad.
I used to get whacked once in a while, but
You were punished?
I've never raised my hand on Zayed.
Oh yes, I don't think his father ever laid a hand on him. The only person who whacked him was me.
yeah, with hangers and
With hangers and
books,
belts and
foot
books
rulers
and
and
everything.
whatever
huh?
was
Yes.
in the
That's what I mean. How could you handle him?
No, but I did handle him. Because even after beating him, I used to cuddle him.
After this whole ruckus used to take place, Mom used to feel terrible that she's done this to us, and the apology and the comfort
The cuddle,
almost
the
used to
hug.
be immediate.
Yeah.
You know,
Immediate.
so
And
it
tell
was-
him that, you know, I've done this because I love you. I want you to be a good boy.
Yeah, and
you
she
know.
would cry then.
Yeah, I would-
because she hit us. You know, so.
So Dad, then, when he came and told you that he had seriously decided to become an actor, what did you say to him?
I looked at him and I was aghast because first of all he used to smoke so much and he was skinny, looking gawky. It reminded me of myself when I was gawky.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, look at yourself in the mirror first before you decide to become an actor. Build your muscles, go to a gym. Stop smoking. Put some discipline. I said, when you walk into a room, you should look like a gladiator. So every head should turn and say, here's the guy, and entering.
Even though you gave him his first screen appearance in Tipu
हम
Sultan,
शेर मैसूर के बेटे हैं 1 साल तो क्या 10 साल भी अंग्रेजों के साथ रहना पड़ा तो हम शेरों की तरह रहेंगे
later you didn't launch him. Was that deliberate?
Deliberately, because I told him very openly, I said, listen, you want to become an actor, do it my way. I had nobody to help me.
But were you
That we had
hurt when
to
he
join.
said that?
You know, I mean, I looked at my father as the guy who would, you know, probably be by my side and, you know, kind of take me, you know, all the way in to this film world or whatever it is. And of course, when, you know, the reality of it dawned on me by what he said, I was quite shattered inside
Must have
because
been
now
crushed.
I went down to my room and I think that was the first time in my life I really cried. My mom, she explained to me that, you know, sometimes things are not said in the way they are meant. And Zayed, this is actually what your father meant. And she gave me this little saying, which
What was it?
goes something like, I asked God for courage, and He gave me difficulties to overcome. I asked God for intelligence, and He gave me problems to solve. I asked God for love, and He gave me the most difficult people to adore. I got nothing I asked for, but everything I needed. I'm a man now. I thank you, God. Something inside me just said, man, I'm going to show him.
It is a very strange sense of deja vu, as if I am reborn again. I feel very happy for
Proud.
him. And he's doing exactly what I used to do. Big party, big time stuff, you know, and buying one more car than necessary and, you know.
Well, you both have come full circle. You started off just the two of you,
Yes.
raised 3 beautiful daughters, fulfilled your responsibilities. Now the last little baby's got married, and it's again just the two of you. What do you look forward to now in the future?
I've got to fulfill more promises too.
So
I've
he's got
kept
to fulfill and I've got to fulfill his promises.
So I want to make her happy as much as I can, and in this onward journey, and we'll both share each other.
Yes.
And-
For better or for worse.
Well, you've had a many splendid life.
God
and I
willing.
wish it to be continued forever and ever.
God
Thank you
willing.
very much.
Thank you so much for coming on my show.
Thank you,
Thank
Simi.
you.
We
Thank you
enjoyed
very
being
much.
on your show.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Pleasure.